Hey everyone, it's Ashley here, and I'm so excited that you're joining me for this next marriage vlog. Now, I know last week I said that we were going to talk this week about the 3 ways that we need to connect with our spouses, and those 3 ways being spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Well, I kind of lied to you because I recorded that video and it was pushing 20 minutes long, and I didn't want anyone to have to sit here and listen to me for 20 minutes and have me try to keep their attention for 20 minutes. So I thought we would take that idea, or that what was going to be one video, and split it up into 3 videos. So today, instead of talking about all 3 areas, we're just going to talk about spiritually and how we can connect with our spouses spiritually and why it's important to connect with our spouses spiritually. So I think we can all agree that we are spiritual beings. Whether you are a Christian or not, you can at least acknowledge that if you look around you, there are lots of religions, lots of beliefs, all in an effort to fill a spiritual void that's inside of us. Being a Christian, I wholeheartedly and truly fully believe that the only way to fill that spiritual void is with God, and is with Christ, and is in relationship with them and with Him, and in communion with God. That being said, a few ways or a few reasons to connect with our spouses spiritually is, one, yes, because we are spiritual beings, but even more than that, marriage is a spiritual institution. Marriage wasn't just created for men to marry women and women to marry men and to love each other and that's it. Marriage, it says in the scriptures, is a representation of Christ and His love for the church. And you can find that specifically in Ephesians 5 towards the end of that chapter. And Christ is, or it goes through and explains, the relationship between a man and a woman, a husband and a wife, and kind of plays out what that's supposed to look like and different aspects of it. And then at the end, it says, this is a profound mystery. And by that, I'm talking about Christ and His love for the church. And so just the fact that marriage itself is a spiritual union, I think it's really important for us to acknowledge that and then to connect spiritually with each other. Also, there's the parable about the man, or the person who built his house, and it says that the one who built his house upon the rock, when the rains came, when the storms came, when the floods rose, his house stood firm. And then there was a person who built their house upon the sand, and when the rains came and the storms came and the floods rose, his house was washed away because he did not have a firm foundation. And if we want a firm foundation within our marriages and within our relationships, that foundation is on the rock, and the rock is God. And so the only way to have that firm basis and that strong basis for the core of our marriage is if we do spend time building our relationship with God and having that spiritual connection. So as an individual, it's important that we are seeking out that relationship with God and that we are spending time individually growing with God, but it's also important as a couple to be spending time together in our faith and in our spirituality and in our relationship with God. It says that that iron sharpens an iron, as iron sharpens iron, so one person can sharpen another. We sharpen each other, we challenge each other, and there's a beautiful opportunity for that right within our marriages with our spouse. And so a few ways that I would recommend connecting with your spouse, and these are some things that I do, some things that I've heard of, some things that my husband and I used to do but they don't really work for us, or that we tried and they don't really work, things that I've heard other couples doing, and it's just going to be a general list, but I don't expect you to take everything that I give to you today and use all of it, because that would be kind of insane. To be honest, it'd be a lot to do. And by all means, if you feel led to, do it. This is more just an encouragement and to kind of get the ball rolling and to get you thinking about things that you can do to connect spiritually with your husband or with your wife. And also, like I said in the last vlog, these are things that other people have done and it's worked for their marriages. You may take them and try them and it might not work for your marriage, and that's okay. You just need to do the hard work and try to find things that will work for your marriage, that will allow you and your husband or you and your wife to connect spiritually and in a spiritual way, and it's going to be unique to you guys because that's how our marriages are. Every marriage is different. So first and foremost, and this, I would recommend this for everyone, just because it's, we're called to do this on an individual basis in the Bible, and I think as a couple it can be very powerful, and that is prayer. Praying together is essential for a marriage. Not only does it refocus you and your husband or you and your wife on Christ and back on God, but it's an awesome encouragement, an awesome place for encouragement within your marriage. There are times when my husband will text me and ask me what he can pray for me today. Or there are times when he'll text me and just tell me, hey, I'm praying for you. And I instantly feel uplifted. I instantly feel encouraged in my spirit and in my heart. And I know that there's times when I text him those things or send him messages about that, and he says thanks. Like, I really needed that at that moment. And so that can be an encouragement. But more than that, if you pray together with your spouse, it can you can empower each other to do great things that they wouldn't have the strength to do on their own. So what I mean by that is, there are times when my husband will pray for me, and he'll pray with me for my dreams, for my hopes, for the passions that I have, for the things that I'm pursuing. And when I hear those words come out of his mouth and that prayer being spoken, I feel like I can accomplish anything. Like, I feel like my dreams are attainable because he's praying for them with me. And same thing when I do it for him, he always says things he's just more encouraged in the work that he's doing and in the things that he's pursuing. So prayer is a huge opportunity for you to encourage your spouse and to grow closer and to just continue to build that foundation and keep that focus on God. Also, reading the Bible together is awesome. Of course, we want to learn from Scripture. We want to learn from what God gives us in Scripture. And doing that together can just open up the door for communication. You can talk about the things that you notice or that stood out to you or why they stood out to you. And there's times that we're reading and I'll have questions about things, like stuff won't make sense to me. And so I'll bring it up to Stefan, and either he wouldn't have thought of it that way, or he'll have an idea that kind of sheds a new light on it for me. So reading the Bible together is awesome as well. Reading great Christian books together. You can read books like marriage books or relationship type books, or any Christian book that just gets you thinking and growing in your faith is awesome. Watching sermons together is something that my husband and I do enjoy doing. We're kind of weird like that, I know, but we do. When we were engaged, we watched a lot of marriage sermons. Now that we have a baby, we watch a lot of marriage sermons and family sermons and parenting sermons. If you're interested, a few pastors that I know have a handful of marriage series and like men and women series are Perry Noble, Craig Rochelle, and Mark Driscoll. There's a few more out there that we've watched, and I can't think of them offhand. But so if you're interested, just go in there. You can go on their church websites and just look in the archives of their sermons, and then you actually get to watch their sermons too. You don't just have to listen to them, you can watch them, which makes it a little bit more interactive, and it can be a little bit more fun than just listening to them. And let's see. Oh, some families or couples like to memorize verses together, and that can be a great way. You find a verse and then memorize it together and spend that time. And I know it's hard to memorize verses, at least for me. It's really hard to put the time into it and then to not just memorize it for that week, but to continue knowing it and to continue having it memorized. And so that's a great way you can have someone kind of be your accountability in that. So these are just some suggestions, some ideas that we've come across over our couple years of being married, or things that we've heard other couples doing. And I look forward to hearing what you do. So if you pick up some of these ideas and incorporate them in your marriage, awesome. Let me know. I would love to hear all about them. If you have others that you do, respond with them. Either leave a comment or do your own video with the things that you do to make sure that you are connecting with your spouse spiritually. So come back next week and we'll take a look at how we can connect with our spouses on an emotional level. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye.